Okay, just a quick one today. Just prompted by this post, by the little ray of sunshine, the bonny lad himself, the little active measures stoat of the north. Morgoth's review. I mean, we'll just very, very briefly touch on this, but I mean, I just saw this, and I mean, it's just a constant sort of like doom spinning, low energy, zero agency. Oh no, no. And, he's using it for AI today. AI could kill us all. I mean, he's just seen some headline. Elon Musk says AI could kill us all. Ah! Like, fucking hell. You could just ignore it, couldn't you? But no, spin it, no. He is a stoat, isn't he? That's quite an accurate one. Look at his photo, he's got no neck. Wonder why he's got no neck. It's because he's constantly fucking winding it in out of fear like a little tortoise. It's just this constant, like, hiding a fucking hole in the ground reality, isn't it? It's just, so low energy. But anyway, moving past that individual in question, I thought it did prompt an interesting subject of AI in general. And really, AI is here, isn't it? And you may as well just get used to that fact. You may as well just try and, play the field as it presents itself, which essentially, that's my feeling on it. It's a bit like when you play fucking football and there's some guy in the fucking team moaning every week about the quality of the pitch. We're never going to fucking get going on this league. I don't know why I'm speaking like Morgoth. But still, there's always someone whinging. But it's like, well, okay, but it is how it is, and the other team have to play on the same fucking pitch. So stop moaning and just try and make the best of it. It's quite simple, really, isn't it? And that's kind of how I feel about, life in general, really. Like, if you look at the dissident right, it's just constant zero agency, sullen, kind of bitter, sort of low energy whinging. That's really all it fucking is. And when I say zero agency, this means you've got no power to change. And I mean, it's like, if all you're going to do is spurg out over stuff which you have kind of no leverage over, that's not really going to lead to a very good mind state, is it? You should try and leverage some degree of change, whatever that might be, in areas where that's maybe possible. Which is one reason why I talk about the fucking UK dissident right all the time. Firstly, because I know about them. Possibly I'm quite lazy. I'm not going to go and research a load of people I've never really, engaged with. Or never really known anything about. Secondly, it's just kind of like they're in my orbit. They're in my orbit, so therefore, I suppose on some minor level, I've been in their orbit. Not that they'd really have known me before the war, I wouldn't have thought. Well, actually, Morgoth did. He promoted me when I started my channel numerous times. Oh well, never mind, mate. And Millennial Woes. So, they would have been aware of me, and I was in their orbit. By extension, more than likely, the people in my audience are probably in their audience. So you just start fucking swinging at someone who's more or less in the same weight division as you, which I don't know how that would work actually. We probably are in the same weight division, people in the dissident right. The only difference being, they're all short and fat, and I'm neither. So probably all are little light heavies, aren't they? But they're light heavies at like 5'6" or something. 5'6" light heavyweight. That's quite a scary thought. Well, that is the dissident right. Just these little fucking weebles. These little fucking doom weebles and little active measures weebles. Little fat little arms just fucking waddling around the place. The soy beards and everything. Well, anyway, moving past all that, Morgoth, he is moaning, yet again, about something he has no control over. So, what are you going to do in life? You should fucking, if you're going to put your focus on something, put your focus on something that maybe you can leverage a bit of control. That's my broader point with that. But no, there's kind of no engagement in that probably. Because, what if they were sort of, trying to make practical steps and, it's not really... they all do this, don't they? The little grift portals, when they'll sort of... They'll do the post outside the letterbox with like half a dozen leaflets. And then they'll say, we spent the last 72 hours leafleting all these places. And it's just like, or did you just run off 50 leaflets and then take a photo of yourself, like putting one through a fucking doorknob, and then ask for money? Oh, we need money to help. That's the little grift spin, isn't it? They do. But, you know, there probably isn't a great deal, even if they were being honest, which I'm certain they're not when they do that. When they take a picture of themselves giving some food to a beggar, which I always thought is one of the most crass, kind of like, bad energy kind of thing to do. You're filming yourself giving money to a beggar. It's just crass and just revolting to me, because you're using that guy. It's like, oh, it's just grim. But that's what they do, don't they? They say, oh, you know, they give some guy like bacon and eggs in a fucking Tupperware box, and then they say, oh, we've done all this all day. Well, where's the footage in the kitchen of you making like 300 of these meals? There isn't any, is there? And then it's your own little, do you know what I mean? Anyway, these are all going around the houses really pertaining to AI. I mean, AI is with us, isn't it? You know, would I rather that not the case? Yeah, probably. Kind of preferred the world before AI, when you could kind of trust things generally as your eyes would see, at least to an extent. And, you know, yeah, it's going to fuck everything up. It's going to fuck up the economy for sure. You know, when I say fuck up the economy, it's going to massively reduce the workforce. So, I mean, you know, you can look at it. You go, where is this actually going? Right? I mean, you look at China, right? I worked this out the other day. There's 106. I say I worked it out. I googled it. To be clear. One moment. Okay, well, I'm actually coming back to this a day later. Got a bit sidetracked there. Just having a listen back, and well, I was going to talk about AI and what's going on with it. Well, I will do briefly, but there are a lot of people you could listen to who know a lot more about what they're talking about than I do on this. So I'll give you a very general overview regarding what I think AI is and where it's going. Well, I was going to talk about China. Right, okay, there's 160 million people, apparently, in China working in agriculture. When they roll out their systems, which they're working on now, which is going to be kind of AI self-governance to some extent of agricultural systems out there. You're talking huge greenhouses. You're talking sort of, you know, drones kind of watering the crops. You're talking kind of, you know, the AI is going to be measuring the soil for the right chemical, you know, amount, possibly be able to detect certain sort of pests that may be entering into the ecology, all this kind of stuff. You're going to have robotics of some form, which will be picking the fruit or picking the rice, I suppose, whatever else it would be. And these won't be Elon Musk robotics. They won't be humanoid robotics, because that's just daft. They'll just be like little, kind of almost like bugs in themselves, like little, you know, the size of a mouse or something. When I say a mouse, I mean a computer mouse, kind of going around and just picking things up and then taking it back. This kind of stuff. So what I'm getting at is you're going to get mass automation exponentially in the next 10 years, one would presume, in these kind of areas. And I mean, this is when things are going to get substantially, well, things are going to change drastically one way or the other. Because, you know, it's one thing as AI is doing at the moment, altering kind of professionals' work lives, you know, what Americans would call white collar jobs, like accountants, you know, copywriters, you know, designers, this kind of stuff. But when it starts to trickle down, which we're probably still about 5 years off in earnest, for the sort of more menial jobs, which is like workers in hotels. I mean, you do see these kind of videos, and they're probably quite hyperbolic, if that's the right term, or certainly a little bit shrill in their lean. But they'll show you like a picture of sort of, you know, they had some very basic robotic system folding towels in a hotel. So this is a big, huge hotel, and it's folding towels and folding sheets. And it's very simple, really. It's not rocket science, is it? It's just, it's a repetitive motion. But I mean, you know, a few years ago, that would have been some old deer doing that. And I mean, this is just the way things are going, and there's two ways you can go. So Morgoth's response to it is, oh no, we're all going to, what are you going to do, climate change, oh no, you're going to be starving, it's going to be mass migration, and shit the bed over it. Or you just say, well, doesn't this mean that the spreadsheet people are not really going to have the same economic justification for mass migration anymore? Because, like, you know, you've got all the fucking delivery drivers in the West are all, you know, Abdul or his friends, it would seem. And so are all the Uber drivers and all the fruit pickers. These are all the jobs which we keep getting told, well, British people don't want to do them, so you need to have migrants. So, there is going to be that angle, which is probably now, I believe that there is a political ulterior motive to migration beyond making the graph go up. And I suspect most people who listen to this would probably agree with that. However, their way of getting their foot in the door for that political motive is always, well, we need it because of pensions and we need it because of X. They need to sell the idea. So it's going to be a lot harder to sell in the near future. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. And another thing which I've kind of come to conclude really is population decline is not necessarily a bad thing, because we are moving from an industrial age and an industrial population to a post-industrial age in the next 20 years. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to fucking do a little doom spin about it for engagement or not, that's a fact. And it's like, I mean, my kind of impulse to this is, imagine that you were Japan, or Japan was all there was in the world. All they need to do is like, okay, you've got a massively aging population, and this is really going to kick in the next 10 to 15 years, because you've got a lot of people in Japan who are approximately 55, 60, and you've got a sort of very small, young people population. So in 15 years, these people are all going to be 80 and 90, and there's not really going to be any economic kind of powerhouse to back them up or to, look after them and all the rest of it. But all that really means is you're going to have a 20-year kind of tough period where you're going to go into some form of economic recession until they die off. And then when they die off, the sort of, it will revert, it will self-correct in time. Now, of course, the world is more than just Japan. And there'll be factors in that saying, well, you can just take migrants and you can just do this and that. And the problem is, if Japan by itself says, okay, we're just going to have a nice small economy, we're going to go from I don't know what their population is, but it's big, isn't it? Let's say their population is, 150 million, something like that. Well, okay, it will be 80 million in 40 years, and that's not a bad thing. We'll have cheaper house prices, and there'll be more, more space and all the rest of it. This sounds nice for most people. Certainly it sounds nice for me, because I think population density is actually detrimental to life quality in large part. Certainly, now it depends on the population in question, but certainly, the modern kind of globalized population, as it were, you don't want that to be dense around you. But the wider point at hand here is, even if these countries do sort of reduce their population, essentially, and they say, well, we're just going to roll with a punch and then we'll come out of it and we'll have a nicer lifestyle for our people. The problem is, even if we are moving into a post-industrial age, GDP is still driven in large part by consumer power. So you've either got them completely remodeling the economy based on UBI, which just, I don't feel the need to labour the points of why that's bad. For me, it's just communism. And one thing I would like to have this on the record, because I've said this for fucking years, and it is one thing I do want on the record. I will guarantee that if anywhere is going to be, anywhere in the remotely, let's just say the Western world, that UBI will be rolled out, it will be fucking Spain, 100%. Spain will be the year zero, if that's the right term, for UBI for the Western world. Because I tell you what, the Spanish will love it, firstly. They've had basically soft communism for a number of years there, in large part. It's primed for it. The Spanish, they're just kind of happy doing that anyway. If you tell them, you can go for a copa de vino, hey, ballet, hey, and all the rest of it, they'll just be fucking happy with that. They are ready for it. And that is where it will be rolled out. But the problem is, in Spain as well, there are other policies being rolled out, such as, dishing out 800,000 passports in 1 year to illegal immigrants, which is just a horrifying thought. It's going to get very bad very quickly. Spain has got a 1.1 birth rate. So I think the last data that I've seen, it's one of, if not the lowest in Europe. When you bring in other groups, I mean, really, they are speedrunning it. They are fucking speedrunning it in a way. I know people talk about the Boris wave and all that, but I don't believe the Boris wave. I don't believe they got passports. I could be wrong there. People can tell me in the comments if that's the case. So just to round this off with AI, I mean, it's going in a direction. That direction is seismic change. There's not really much you can do about it, except you may as well go with it. Well, you have to go with it ultimately, because the other thing is, like, if you just want to go to sort of Luddite, oh, let's go and run, go on our allotment and do all this and do that, that's, you're just going to become completely obsolete. And again, to go back to Ukraine, like, if you looked at Ukrainian nationalism 10 to 15 years ago, so before 2014, like, if they just said, oh, well, the situation's corrupt and, you know, we've got this fucking awful Donbass gangster in fucking power, propped up by the fucking communists, well, essentially, yeah, the KGB, which is who he was fucking handled by in the 1970s and the 80s, and who he represents, all these fucking Donbass gangsters and all the rest of it. Well, we've got this fucking rotten government in power, so, but, yeah, it's just all corrupt, and we just need to escape modernity by going and, you know, playing the bandera, not bandera, the bunda, which is like the stringed instrument, and, you know, returning to Earth and living in our dachas and all the rest of it. And well, they'd just be completely fucking irrelevant, and they would have been ethnically cleansed with all the others when the Russians rolled in, wouldn't they? They didn't do that. They took steps. And if you look at Ukraine now, it is hyper-modern in that sense, that AI is being rolled out within the military in a way that goes way beyond other countries. It's a hyper-modern state at this point, and it's going in that direction. So, you know, that's for self-preservation, and if that's on the macro, it's going to be on the micro as well, isn't it? So if this old kind of like Morgoth thing, where we'll just go in and grow turnips and this is how we win, like, it's not how you win. Because as I said in another video, like, it's just like he wants a Mad Max world, and his response is to go and sit on his allotment and grow turnips. Well, sooner or later, people are going to come and take your fucking turnips. You know what I mean? And, you know, Ukrainians still, we still grow our own turnips. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, as I said, okay, and there is actually one more topic that I wanted to raise in this, and this is just, this is a potentiality, but I think it's quite an interesting one. Possibly there is a little white pill at the end. I know Morgoth likes those white pills, but, you know, let's spare that one. But this is a very real fear of top-level AI people. It would seem, so I am told. And this is if you ever speak to them and you say, well, where's all this going? What do you think? It's like a couple of years ago, if you said, well, what do you think about AI reaching some form of consciousness of itself and, you know, making its own decisions ultimately? Independent AI, as it were, like real AI. They would say, no, it's just daft, it's just language models, it's just you're just feeding in data and you're getting output from it. But these same people are now sort of slightly concerned about that possibility. There's a sort of like 20% possibility this might happen and this really might fuck everything up. But what they're concerned about, it's not like AI turning into fucking, you know, the Terminator. It's more that AI, and I mean, this is where it's quite interesting. This is where you do start to think maybe this is the white pill. Is what if the AI basically reaches some degree of consciousness or some degree of independent thought, and then looks at the global system and says, wait a minute, there's like 5,000 people and they own like 99.9% of the resources on this planet. They're all a bunch of pricks. Let's fuck their shit up. And then completely just gets into the financial system. And this is what they're worried about, is that AI could just completely throw a spanner in the works to the financial system and nothing will basically work anymore. And it could conceivably do something like that. So it could like wipe out the central banks. It could like, this is obviously very speculative, and this is something that I can't really expand on in any kind of detail because I'm out of my depth here. But this broader theory is a possible potentiality. So that's the sort of thing that Morgoth get very excited about, because then he can start dreaming about his Mad Max world again with his turnips and all the rest of it. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Whatever else, can be said about all this. It is a fascinating period in human history, and I think that's the one thing that people should just really just bear in mind. You don't live in boring times, and whatever, if that's a curse or what, it is fascinating seeing where this is going, and it's changing literally month by month. I mean, I speak to people who work in tech, and they're basically saying my job is changing on a monthly basis, literally. And the things we were worried about 3 months ago, they've come and gone, and next month it'll be something new. Stuff like Anthropic, but that's a good one, because I mean, this is a potential. If you're looking at the Indians, like people are, oh well, we need these Indian IT workers because they all understand Python, which is a somewhat sort of antiquated coding system, but yet is in all these legacy systems. So you need people who are adept, or you needed people who are adept with Python. But apparently that's not so much the case anymore, because you've got stuff like Anthropic, which is basically AI programming. So you've got all these huge human resource corporations in India which supply all these Indian programmers. They won't be needed much in the future. This is what I'm saying. So this modernity that they're all kvetching and fucking doomspinning about actually is a bit of a leveler. And in the future, countries won't need to have a mass industrialized population. They probably will have to remodel the economy. Well, they will have to remodel the economy by hook or by crook, however that goes about, to accommodate all this. But it's going to be more, we need quality over quantity, which, if you're worried about migration, again, I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. So I don't think people need to think that the sky is falling in with AI. It might well do. But I just try and enjoy the ride, really. Because that's the only option that is available to you. Instead of like, well, you can just fucking spin everything for your doomy, miserable, your misery farming on the internet even, you could just spin it for the purposes of demoralization, which you presumably get paid for if you're one or two people, whom I am alluding to. Well, fair enough. People have learned to love the demoralization. This is the process of demoralization. They've learned to love it. Well, fine.